As Adolf Hitler comes to power in 1930s Germany and concentration camps are built with a similar productivity to the building of landmarks and arenas, Jews are arrested, rounded up, placed onto trains, and forced through the gates that many of them will only pass through once. Starved, forced into manual labour, tortured, experimented on, and executed via callous methods, their remains used for profit. Belongings sold, the production of rugs made from human hair, bones for fertilizer, skin for leather, dehumanization to the very end, bodies treated like livestock, an example of humanity demonstrating its efficiency for evil. This is Alain Resnais's classic short documentary, Night and Fog, the film which Francois Truffaut called the most noble and necessary film ever made back in February 1956. Night and Fog was initially intended as a complimentary documentary piece in relation to a Parisian museum exhibit called Resistance, Liberation, Deportation, an exhibition supported by a decade of government financial support and research. Originally planned to feature the exhibition throughout the film, Night and Fog eventually developed into the film we recognise today, a brief, concise, confrontational overview of the Holocaust. An accessible, unflinching portrait of the human atrocity that unfolded only 12 years prior to its production, never shying away from graphic death, imagery that continues to chill viewers today. Night and Fog also demands that viewers recognise that the potential for fascistic evil lays dormant, not dying amongst the rubble of the concentration camps, warning us that these acts of evil can happen again if we become nonchalant. While considered a classic of documentary filmmaking today, Night and Fog faced controversy amid calls for its censorship, with demands for its withdrawal during its Cannes Film Festival premiere. Elaborating on this, Peter Cowie wrote for Criterion, stating that Night and Fog won the prestigious Prix Jean Vigo and was selected for the Cannes Festival. But after officials from the West German embassy saw the film at a private screening, a letter was sent to the French Foreign Minister, Christian Pineau, demanding that the film be withdrawn from the French lineup at Cannes. Despite protests, Night and Fog was abruptly replaced by an innocuous documentary on French chateaux. The decision was made by Maurice Lemaire, who, as Secretary of State for Industry and Commerce, enjoyed, mysteriously, the ultimate control of the official French selection for festivals. The papers resounded with accusation and counter-accusation. The foreign minister refused to attend Cannes to open the festival. The 18 members of the selection committee threatened to resign en masse, and finally Night and Fog was given a slot at the festival, out of competition, to coincide with the National Day of the Deportees. After protest from the Cannes Film Festival Selection Committee, and the barrage of criticisms from newspapers over Maurice Lemaire's ignorant decision to initially pull the film from the festival's lineup, Night and Fog finally received its screening, even if it was out of competition. This illustrates that while Night and Fog is a distressing film to watch, and the wounds of the devastation caused by the Holocaust were still fresh, some clearly deeming it inappropriate to show such images, it was considered essential viewing, and its screening shouldn't have been restricted. To hide this discomforting subject matter from the public eye would only benefit the Nazi cruelty which perpetrated it. It's important to remember and to learn about these atrocities. The title itself, Night and Fog, is an evocation of the disturbing swiftness in which prisoners would be evicted from their properties, arrested, rounded up, and transported like breathing cargo. Colin McCabe, writing for Criterion, elaborates on this, stating that the concentration camps were covered in elaborate veils of secrecy so that there could be no public scrutiny of their hideous operations. Indeed, this secrecy was considered one of the main weapons in the terrorizing of opponents, and when the Keitel Decree of 1941 ordered that all resistance fighters captured in other European countries be brought back to Germany to disappear into these camps, one of the policy's explicit aims was for the prisoners to vanish into night and fog, and for this to be an extra punishment for the loved ones they left behind, unable to learn anything about their fate. To disappear into night and fog was a covert cruelty, to separate loved ones, friends, family with no sign of closure or clarity into their current state. The documentary's title serves as a reflection on how many of these prisoners in death would have simply received a mass grave disposal with no indication to surviving friends or family as to their whereabouts. Just like the documentary's title and its brutal evocation of the erasure of death, Night and Fog serves as a concise, direct addressing of significant details regarding the Holocaust. the process and aesthetic influences behind concentration camp designs, the hierarchies that formed, the awful methods of extermination, Night and Fog is unflinching, delving into graphic imagery that will likely haunt every viewer who watches the documentary. After the Nazi efforts to erase the eradication of Jewish, disabled, black, Romani and queer prisoners, as well as many other groups including resistance fighters and communists, Night and Fog dismantles the veils of secrecy that Colin McCabe referenced by confronting the viewer with the true, bleak reality of the Holocaust. 30 minutes may not be long to explore such a terrible subject, but Night and Fog is effective in its directness. It may be easier for viewers to create an internalized distancing between themselves and the subject matter. Some viewers may be tempted to consider the black and white footage of the Holocaust a symbol of history long gone. During its colour sequences of the ruins of concentration camps, Night and Fog confronts this aspect of nonchalance. While the camps lay in rubble, or like Auschwitz, repurposed as museums for education of this tragic history, Night and Fog acknowledges that this evil is not defeated, but lays dormant. If we're not careful, history can repeat itself. There is a disquieting relevancy here when, in the present day, we can acknowledge the resurgence of such evil. North Korea and their political prison camps, China's persecution of the Uyghur Muslims within so-called re-education camps, the humanitarian crisis within the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. Considering the wars, conflicts, humanitarian crises, and genocides ongoing across the world, led by bloodthirsty world leaders with more power than they deserve. An additional reason why Night and Fog is so chilling in its relevancy is because humanity seems to have learned so little from its history. In conclusion, Alain Resnais's Night and Fog remains an essential piece of 20th century documentary filmmaking. Brief, yet direct, the film resonates not simply due to its heartbreaking images of dehumanization, extermination, and death, but due to its chilling relevancy that condemns humanity's potential for actions of evil. To not recognize the continuation of such ongoing violence in the world is to not heed Night and Fog's warning to never again allow these destructive actions to unfold. For as long as genocide and war crimes persist, Night and Fog will remain relevant. A special thank you to my incredible tier Patreon supporter Gil, and my super tier Patreon supporters Constantine Bombelli, Jamie, and Milkway.